Good?
Yep, we're good.
All right,
Go.
let's do it. So I've been thinking a lot about forgiveness lately. My whole life, as I grew up in the church and been studying the Bible, I've been told that I've been forgiven by God. You've probably been told the same. And I think for most of us, we think, well, of course I'm forgiven by God. That's what God does. He's big and He's gracious and He's loving and He forgives me. The truth is, the fact that we're forgiven by God in and of itself is absolutely amazing. Whenever we sin against ourselves, we sin against other people, but we ultimately sin against God. And the fact that He forgives me should crush me. It should bring me to my knees. But I think sometimes well, His grace is just there and it's good for me and I accept it. Okay, I'm forgiven and I feel forgiven by Him, but I can't forgive myself. So many times I'll walk through this life, and I'll be honest with you, I'm full of shame, I'm full of guilt, I hate my sin, I hate that it keeps creeping back into my life, and so I just go on not feeling forgiven. Though I know in my mind I'm forgiven by God, but I can't even bear the thought of forgiving myself. It's kind of like this extra weight that we wear, this weighted down, muffled feeling around our soul that doesn't allow God's grace and God's mercy to get in. We're like, yeah, I know it's there and I'll access God's grace and mercy when I need it, but I just can't forgive myself. And once I do, then I'll have His grace. But that's not what He intended for us. He intended for us to feel forgiven, to not walk around with guilt and shame, to not have this sumo suit on our soul that keeps us from experiencing His true love and His grace. In Galatians 5:1, it talks about how Christ came to set us free. For freedom, I have come to set you free. It's kind of a funny phrase if you think about it. For freedom, I've come to set you free. He didn't just say, for freedom, I've come, or I've come to set you free, but he emphasizes the point, Paul does, 2 times by saying, for freedom, Christ came to set us free. Yet so often, I don't walk around free. I just walk around as if this life is going to just be nothing but a drudgery, time after time, step after step, because I can't forgive myself. What cheap grace is that? That we think God's forgiveness, God's grace can't go all the way to our souls to let us let go of the guilt and the shame that keeps us confined. For freedom, I have come to set you free. So I've thought about it. I've thought a lot about how can I get rid of this waste in my life, this muffled feeling in my life, and I thought it just means that it's a daily surrender, a daily realization that He has set me free. I don't have to live this way, that I can walk around free and know that I'm not going to go on sinning, but I can go on feeling forgiven. And Paul says often in his letters, several of different letters, we don't go on sinning. He says that in Romans very clearly. We don't go on sinning because we've been so forgiven. Yet because we are so forgiven, we realize we're so free. So we go on in His loving kindness, letting go of our guilt and shame, letting go of the weight that weighs us down, so that we may run the race that Christ has marked out for us. I'm free. I don't have to live like this anymore.